Do you want to make decisions in your life that you do not end up regretting later? If the answer is a yes, then in this video, I'm going to share with you something really amazing, which is what I call as the regret triangle, and also a very simple framework that is actually going to lift the pressure and the weight of you when you have to make those decisions. And that the fear that you have that what if I make this choice and I would regret later. And let me also remind you, this is going to be by far one of the best research-led videos that you've ever seen. So let's get onto the drawing board right away. So what is the regret triangle? Very simple. It is actually the reasons why you feel regretful later. So let's understand one at a time. So first thing, or the first reason why you feel regretful is what I call as the out of control syndrome. Now, what is the out of control syndrome? It is simply about when you look at situations or the decisions that you've taken in your life that you're not very happy about, and you start thinking about that you were the victim in that situation. You never had control over the situation. There were so many moving parts to it, which I don't disagree that there were. But it's quite easy to fall prey to being a victim and then let that spiral absorb you or kind of get yourself into it. So one of the first reasons could be, which I have really found very strong, is that you feel that everybody around you had control and you did not. It's more about not looking inward a bit, and playing a victim is the easiest thing to do, isn't it? Now, the second aspect of the regret triangle is what I call as which is actually stems from the first one, and it's called playing the blame game. Playing the blame game, which is actually related to the first one, which means that when we get ourselves into the victim mode, there are times we use all our fingers, including our thumb, and point things outside and say that everything that's happened into my life is because of others. They did this to me, he did this to me, she did it to me, and this continues, this self-talk continues, and so how? But what really happens at times is that we end up blaming ourselves and really very harsh into that place where I could have said this, I could have done that, and everything revolves around that place where once again you felt that you were out of control, but at the same time you're trying to put your locus of control onto the outside rather than getting it into the inside and look at it from a different perspective, which we're going to talk about when we talk about the solution over here. What's the third part of this regret, or rather let me call this as also as that Beotra triangle, is by far I think one of the most important things that define what regret is, and that is the if then else. Okay, the if then else, and this defines regret in the best fashion ever, which means that we end up playing that scenario in that head, the point where we had to make that decision which hasn't worked in your favor at this time. You replay it with different protagonists, with different villains and whatnot, and creating so much of drama inside the head and thinking if that would have happened, then this would have happened and else would have happened. And more so like this simple flowchart in the head that runs at the back as a continuous loop. And to be fair, regret in its own self is like a twister, like a spiral that gets you inside it and makes your current moment so immobile, so paralytic that it just makes you freeze and not move ahead of that situation and maybe make better choices by looking inward. So the aspect over here is that we all want to stay away from this Bermuda Triangle, right? Because it has the capacity to suck you in and not allowing you to take action in the current moment. So the question at hand for which we're making the video is that what do I do then to avoid this regret triangle and start making decisions with far more confidence and clarity and zero sign of regret? So let me share that framework with you now. So let's talk about the Regret Minimization Framework. Now this framework actually consists of 4 important steps, and it was originally tossed by Jeff Bezos way back in 1994 when he says that he used this framework when he was thinking of moving out of his stable Wall Street job and start Amazon. Now, before I go ahead and talk about this framework in detail, let me tell you, I'm not here to endorse any person, but definitely endorse the framework over here, because if it allows us to make a better decision in the present which we will not regret later, then why not use it for our benefit? So what are the 4 steps? Step number 1 is about picturize yourself when you are old, rather. Yes. So the first step of the regret framework says that picture yourself when you are say 80 years old, and ask yourself this question, this very important question: will I regret not having tried this? Now, very simple. Picture yourself when you're old and ask yourself this question: will I regret not trying this in the future, or not having tried this? Now, what this actually statement does is that it detaches you from the moment and make you travel in the time horizon, where you look at yourself in the future and ask yourself, so what does my life look like in the present? Would I feel that bad about not making this choice when I was, say, my younger self? Now, step number 2 of this is that if the answer to this question is a yes, if the answer is a yes, that means somewhere what it does is that it allows you to think about the future in a way where it minimizes your regret, and it makes you realize that your current situation could be discomforting, but it has the ability to succeed or make you feel successful in the future, which you would definitely be proud about. Now, what it does is that if your answer to this step number 2 is a yes, then you perhaps go to the step number 3, and which is about shifting perspective. Now, what shifting perspective is all about, like I did mention, that what this exercise does to you is that you move from the present to the time horizon in the future. It moves you from your current self, who could be emotional, who could be fearful, who could be extremely self-doubting, to someone who could be far more objective, rational, and self-relying, which is the future self. Now, once you're done with step number 3, which is first asking yourself, would I regret this in the future? If it is a yes, then perhaps you shift your perspective in the time horizon. The 4th step, which is the very important step, and that is it moves you towards action bias. That means this framework then allows you to think about that what is far more regretful, not taking action in the moment versus naturally tilting towards taking an action, because your current inaction is going to be far more saddening to you than thinking that what if I fail in the future, and what if I regret in the future. So this framework by far is extremely helpful, that can allow you that short-term fearful thinking rather than move you towards the important steps that you need to take in order to take decisions with far more clarity and confidence. And once again, look at all these 4 steps in toto, and then go ahead and make better choices in your life. The aspect is that it's an important framework that you can go ahead and put it into practice right away. And do tell me, how did it go for you? Because I'm always eager to understand how you're putting this into your daily life and get some amazing results. And please do put across your questions to me in case there are any that I can answer. So I'm going to see you in the next week's video. And if this video resonates with you, definitely share it along and subscribe to this channel. And let's start showing up together. This is your friend Neha Beotra, who will always remind you that you're way stronger than you think.